You are affiliated with Merrill Lynch. You cannot buy or sell Bitcoin. That is, if you're a financial or investment advisor allowed to use Merrill Lynch's name, you can't buy Bitcoin-related investments for your clients. Joining us now is the former commissioner of the CFTC. His name is Bart Chilton. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this means, Bart. If you're in any way affiliated with Merrill Lynch, you can't put your clients into Bitcoin. Is that roughly right? Because it seems to me to be a big negative for Bitcoin.
Well, it's a negative for Bitcoin, Stuart, but it's a negative, I think, for Merrill Lynch and B of A. I mean, I know they're trying to protect investors, and I get that, but a lot of investors want to get into digital, so there are now these 17,000 investors at Merrill who can't make that transaction for their customers. And, you know, a lot of folks in the institutional world have been afraid of digital currencies for some pretty darn good reasons. But smaller investment advisors are starting to take it on. And I think we're really seeing the maturation of the digital economy for a number of reasons. So you're going to see a little bit of, you know, shaking things out. Merrill is erring on the side of being cautious. But others, I think, are going to start getting into it, particularly now that you're seeing futures trading in Bitcoin, Stuart.
Okay, now, I want to ask you about some very, very small companies which changed their name, and they changed it overnight, put the word blockchain in their name, and the stock goes to the moon. For example, there's an iced tea company, changed its name to sound like it was a blockchain company. Long Island Iced Tea became Long Blockchain. And the company's stock went straight up. Now, it's a little bit down today, but it did go straight up. What's going on with all this thing?
Well, I think there's sort of a mantra out there that, you know, all things blockchain are good, and it requires really discriminating minds and investors to know that, you know, merely a name change is not something that adds value to a company in the long term. So you may see these stock machinations out there with people trying to tag things, you know, Stuart Varney and Company blockchain, and all of a sudden there's an increase in viewers, or BartChilton.com blockchain. But people got to be careful.
Yeah, look, let's simplify this. Would you, Bart Chilton, buy into Bitcoin right now? Would you?
It depends how much I'm talking. I mean, if you have a big portfolio, I think I might. I mean, it was up at 20,000, Stuart, a couple of weeks ago. It's, you know, it changes so rapidly, but before we went on air, it was 14,636. It was down to 11 a little bit ago. I probably would put a little bit in there, but I'd also be looking at some of the other cryptos that are safe.
Okay,
and
so
that are...
you wouldn't say, no way, Jose, I'm not going to touch this thing. You would not say that. If you got a little bit of money, you know, you could lose it, you'd put it in. Okay.
I would, but Stuart, just let me make one caveat. I'd probably do it into the futures. The futures, you know, I mean, I'm a regulatory guy, right? They're regulated. There's transparency. There's clearing to make sure that your money just doesn't go poof. So I would invest in Bitcoin, but through the futures, probably at CME Group where there's more liquidity.
Would you invest in, like, a fund that brings together blockchain companies, like a blockchain fund? Would you invest in that?
Yeah, I think those are really doing well. They are more diversified, of course, just like they have things that are essentially like ETFs for blockchain-based companies, even ETFs for different digital currencies, Stuart, and that takes away a lot of the risk from one of these just having an explosion. And, you know, these digital currencies, one of the problems with them is that they're not based upon anything real that you can touch and feel. Sure. So if they get hacked, your money can just go poof. So an ETF-like circumstance, whether or not it's in currencies or in the underlying blockchain, I think makes a lot of sense for investors to consider as part of their portfolio.
Okay, I understand. You got it. Bart Chilton, thanks for joining us, sir. Interesting story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right.